Here I see in Ecuador, I see people selling things all over the place on the street.
Oh, sure, sure. In the States or in Canada, if you do that, the SWAT team will come. But
Yeah.
if you sell drugs, it's decriminalized.
Yeah. Why are you in Ecuador right now? Where have you lived before, and why did you like
I
want
ask
to?
myself that every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Number one, the cost of living in the States is out of my
Yeah.
reach.
Yeah. Same thing in Canada.
It's
Yeah. A lot of Asian countries are difficult to stay there long term because they have very they actually the funny thing is they actually it seems like they actually protect their society and culture.
big pharma has a
Yeah.
lot to blame for the,
Yeah.
health
Now,
problems.
I was confused my whole life, but these guys in the back here, these guys in the back,
Uh-huh.
this is the real deal. So the people watching, you can research these guys. A botanist, you know how a botanist takes care of a plant to make sure the plant is
Yeah.
well? It's kind of like that for humans. And it's like, and everything, there's a heavy socialistic element to everything. Instead of giving people the personal responsibility of taking care of themselves or their family, the state gets involved in everything. Okay, welcome to Nutri Rebel podcast series, where we try to incorporate a systems thinking perspective instead of merely targeting one aspect, trying to make things holistic. But the word holistic has been perverted. But anyway, uh, my name is Dave, and this is Nick,
It's
and
showtime.
we are both living in Ecuador now. But a little bit introduction. Um, Nick, what? Okay, why are you in Ecuador right now? Where have you lived before, and why did you
I
want
ask
to?
myself that every
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Well, I came down here in 2012.
yeah.
I used to live in New York. I lived
Oh,
in China also
oh,
for a number of years.
okay,
Well, basically, I came to Ecuador because number one, the cost of living in the States is out of my
yeah,
reach.
yeah. Same thing in Canada.
It's
Yeah,
way too expensive. And in China, it used to be really great for foreigners, but now it's difficult to obtain and maintain a visa, and it's very expensive
okay.
to do that.
Therefore, you lived in China.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, a lot of Asian countries are difficult to stay there long term because they have very they actually the funny thing is they actually it seems like they actually protect their society and culture.
yeah,
Yeah,
they allow foreigners in, but it's geared for, come for a year and get out.
yeah,
They don't want them like settling down, and even if you marry a Chinese and have a
yeah,
Chinese kid, that gives you no rights
yeah,
to be in the country.
yeah, 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 yeah. So therefore, you lived in China,
Hmm.
and you lived in the United States, and
Hmm.
what okay okay about me I lived in Canada practically my whole life. I've had health issues that always kept me going back, but I solved them. But we don't solve everything. It's not there's no such thing as perfect health. You just try to mitigate things because we live in a very effed up messed up world. uh and it,
Yeah, and Big Pharma has a
yeah,
lot to blame for the,
yeah.
health
Now,
problems.
I was confused my whole life, but these guys in the back here, these guys in the back,
Uh-huh.
this is the real deal. So the people watching, you can research these guys. These guys started up what is called as orthomolecular nutrition and orthomolecular medicine. It's basically a botanist. You know how a botanist takes care of a plant to make sure the plant is
Yeah.
well? It's kind of like that for humans. Uh, anyway, I wish I knew this 20, 30. I saw this stuff 25 years, 26 years ago, but I didn't know who to go to see. But it's a big long story. But anyway, now I'm practicing what these guys practice. But anyway, uh, yeah, I lived in Canada and same thing. Very expensive, very cold, very hard to do anything, very hard to get a place to live, very hard to get a job. Just over broke. I don't call it work. I call it a job, just over broke. Job.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I get it.
it's
Yeah,
just it
in
is.
the States, it's the same.
Yeah, and it's like and everything there's a heavy socialistic element to everything. Instead of giving people the personal responsibility of taking care of themselves or their family, the state gets involved in everything. The government gets involved in everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they interfere a lot with
yeah,
what should be your private family life.
yeah. And your private health. Like they say we have free healthcare in Canada. No, we don't. We barely have sick care. It should be called sick care, not health care. There's nothing. They're mainly good. The modern medical system in around the world is taken over by big pharma. Therefore, they're mainly to only take care of you when you get sick. But chronic issues, no good for that because they keep you going on pills, and then it destroys your body, destroys your teeth, destroys your aging process, destroys your vision, everything.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah,
their interest is not to cure you.
yeah,
It's just to make you well enough,
yeah.
and then, whatever other symptoms show up, they sell you pills for that.
Yeah, it's mainly like they've turned life into like an assembly line. Like you're just you're like a rat in a cage. You're going up and down and you never get out.
Yeah, I know. You're going through the motions.
Yeah,
It's a cycle. They
yeah,
don't want you to get out.
yeah,
They want you in.
yeah, yeah. Uh anyway, number two, let's explore comparisons between Canada and Ecuador. In Canada, the funny, sad, ironic thing is that it's easier to sell drugs on the street than to sell food or than to sell things you make yourself or things from China. Here, I see in Ecuador, I see people selling things all over the place on the street.
Oh, sure, sure. In the States or in Canada, if you do that, the SWAT team will come. But
Yeah.
if you sell drugs, it's decriminalized.
Yeah,
Por
yeah.
onde show.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think do you need a license here to sell things on the street? I mean, I consider that a small
Um,
business. To sell, if I were to sell hot dogs on the street in Canada, I would consider that a small business.
well, here, you need like a permit from the municipio, which costs like $25 per year.
Oh, okay.
You
But
know,
but do most people have a permit or do they not?
um, you see the ones on the street in the historic center of
Okay.
Quito, the ones that wear like a blue vest.
Yeah.
I forget what it says on the back. It says like some cooperativa or something like that.
Yeah.
They pay the municipio, the municipality of Quito for the right to sell on the street. Most people who sell like the knockoff handbags and they're selling, I don't know, clothing, cheap Chinese plastic stuff, whatever. Most of those guys don't have
Okay.
a permit. They have the stuff on a blanket. The blanket is attached to like a four strings. So when they see the cops, walking around, they just pull up the blanket and they throw it on the back and they walk away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like here in Ecuador, the cops just want to keep the sidewalks clear. Like
Yeah.
they don't chase them or anything. The people see them coming and they just grab the stuff and go. And 10 minutes later, they're back.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
in New York, for example,
Yeah.
they arrest those people.
Yeah.
They chase them down and they take all the merchandise. You
Yeah.
know, they have to spend
Yeah.
a few nights in jail before they see the judge, and the judge
Yeah.
usually lets them go with a token fine. But here it's not like that.
Yeah, I remember in when I was about 30 years ago, when I was in grade six, or no, that was grade 10, maybe 33 years ago, I tried to sell comic books in school, and they took my comic books away. So you can see they crushed the spirit of entrepreneurship.
They want you to be a good employee. They want you
Yeah,
to take your minimum wage and
yeah, yeah,
not make waves.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Uh, yeah,
The educational system is set up that way to
yeah,
produce worker bees.
yeah,
In the States and probably in Canada too. I'm sure there are like these elite private schools whose tuition is beyond the average man's reach.
yeah,
In those places, in those like elite academies,
yeah,
they teach the kids how to be the CEO. They teach entrepreneurship. Right? They teach how to manage your finances and how to
yeah,
leverage money and stuff.
yeah,
But in the, run-of-the-mill public schools, they don't even touch on that. They just
yeah,
teach you how to sit there, follow directions,
yeah.
and, you know,
I
play
I
nice.
I desire to. I'm going to share a video really fast here. Share the screen. Uh, share. Where is it here? Holy crap. I'm going to share a video here if I can find the bloody video. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like they're like I said they're killing the human spirit. That's what it is.
Yeah, I was watching a video about Japan the other day
Yeah,
about this very topic. In fact, it was they used the example of Japanese carpenters. Uh, the Japanese carpenters, they could build these like houses, these like elaborate houses without
yeah,
using any nails, right? They have a way of joining the wood together. I can't explain it, but what I'm trying to get to is in the past 75, 80 years, that profession has all but died out
yeah,
because in order to learn that, you have to learn it from the time you're 7 years old, or
yeah,
else you won't really learn it.
yeah,
Kids in Japan, just like most other countries, are required from that age to go to school. You go to school, you do your grade school, your high school, you maybe go to university, then you play with girls for a few years, you get a job, right?
yeah.
Where are you dedicating all your time to learning carpentry? You're not. So that profession is dead.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
there
you're
are
right.
a lot of other professions, like a lot of
Yeah,
artisanal,
yeah,
like specialty
yeah,
professions, which are dying
yeah,
because they're trying to make kids into like cookie cutters.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play
Go
this.
ahead, let's see the
I
video.
hope I can play this video.
Sorry, I'm
It's only
interrupting.
a minute and a half long.
Go ahead.
It's a good example of what's going on. I'm gonna see if I can hear it.
Like, can we do our work? The older people say, like, no, because somebody said something. So halfway into my career, we were going, I think kids are becoming less imaginative. What year was this around? This was around 2015, okay, 2016. And we noticed that there were far more arguments, there were far more fights between kids because their social skills had diminished. So they couldn't find a way to negotiate conflict. And people were like, oh, it's because they're spoiled. And I was like, I don't think it is. I genuinely
Yeah,
don't think they know how to communicate effectively.
yeah,
That's right. So what we need to develop one-on-one communication skills. Attitudes towards free speech are really changing rapidly in Gen Z, because if we were raised with sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never harm me. Of course, names do hurt, but this was a way of saying, you know what, I'm not going to let go ahead and insult me.
uh,
I'm not going to react.
yeah,
But the new thing is, if you say anything that I can in any way interpret as a criticism of me or my group, you've committed an aggression. Someone has to punish you because you're hurting me. And this means we are stuck in endless, endless conflicts over somebody said something. This is something I hear from
yeah,
business people too. Oh, you see it especially in progressive organizations. There have been a few articles written about the chaos within political progressive nonprofits because it's just constant conflict over someone said something. Like, can't we do our work? The older people say, like, no, because somebody said something. So
uh,
yes, I think we're going to see a change in values and social abilities that may be incompatible with the American form of democracy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that brings up. I mean, we could talk about all kinds of things, but we only have a short amount of time here. But did you hear that video?
Yeah, I heard it. I
Okay.
heard it.
Yeah, yeah,
And as a teacher, I see this, in the classroom.
yeah,
The kids, the teenagers' social skills now versus 15 years ago have really gone down.
yeah, yeah,
They don't know how to communicate with each other. They don't know how to work a problem out.
yeah,
Uh, whenever they disagree with something, their reaction tends to be just to put their face in the cell phone and like an
yeah,
ostrich putting his head in the sand.
yeah.
Like if you prod the kid, if you really insist, he will want to fight you. Go ahead,
Fa
go ahead. It's your
family
show.
family relations and female relations, like feminism in Ecuador. How's that? Like in Canada, there are many single guys. They're afraid of dating women now.
Yeah. Yeah, in the States it's the same.
Yeah.
Um, Nowadays it's poisoned the market, it's poisoned
You
the
may want
dating
to
market.
you may want to back up from your screen a little bit because your head is yeah, there, that's better. That's better.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, the feminism, it's really poisoned the dating market.
Yeah.
Like you can't even say anything because if you
Yeah.
say something, then you're the bad guy, and
Yeah. Yeah.
society
Yeah.
will stun you and
Yeah.
cancel you.
Yep. 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 I've already been through
And
that
how
many times.
dare you refer to me by the incorrect pronoun?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like here in Ecuador, it depends where you go. Like in Quito, you see more of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just it is what it is these days. I mean, you know, I grew up in a different time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
did I. Yeah. A more rational time.
yeah, a more
Yeah.
rational time. You could not identify as a unicorn and expect people to take you seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically a cultural Marxism what's happening, and uh, they're making a victim out of somebody and making an aggressor out of someone else. When it's a two-way street.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, you have the right to identify as a unicorn, but I also have the right to not take you seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know, like I see this a lot more. Like when I was growing up, I mean, yeah, we had LGBT, we had
Yeah.
that, but they were not so unreasonable like they are now.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and they a lot of them, I'm not saying all, and there are a lot of good people out there, but like some of them give the others a bad name. They try and bait you into these conversations where like you're forced to use like pronouns, and you're like,
Yeah.
look, I'm not playing this game, and
Yeah.
then you're the bad guy for not
Yeah.
playing the game.
Yeah. 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 I know exactly what you're saying. Uh, um, the kind of related topic is like housing and cost of living in Ecuador compared to Canada and United States. Why is cost of living here lower? Well, first of all, big thing I noticed here, if you make money and you put it in a savings account, they actually give you a return on savings.
Sure,
In
sure.
Canada, they don't. In Canada, they don't.
Let me touch on the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, real estate in Quito,
Yeah.
it's kind of high for
Is it?
Ecuador.
Oh
But if you
yeah.
go outside of Quito, outside of the metropolitan area, you'll
Yeah.
find, very reasonable prices on real estate,
Yeah.
much lower than the States. And I'm no expert at this, but I'm gonna just chime in with the reason I think this is in
Yeah,
the
sure.
in
No,
the
it's fine.
States. Um, a good chunk of the real estate is not owned by individuals, but by corporations,
Yes.
right? So when a corporation owns real estate, they hire a management company to go down there and take care of whatever it is they do.
Yeah.
And a corporation, the reason of existence is to make money.
Yeah.
So a corporation's idea of buying property is not to keep it for generations. Their idea is to keep it, excuse me, until the market permits them to sell it
Yeah.
at a profit.
Yeah.
And then another corporation buys it, and
Yeah.
they want to sell it at a profit. I'll use New York City as an example. Not only is a great percentage of Manhattan's real estate owned by corporations,
Yeah.
but about half the apartments in Manhattan are vacant.
Okay.
Corporations are just holding on to these things, waiting for the market to go up so they can sell them. They're not interested in collecting rent. They're just interested in flipping the property.
Yeah.
So that's why, New York City real estate is so expensive. Um, in other parts of the United States, it's similar.
Yeah.
A lot of it is owned by corporations. Even the farmland, you don't really have many like 20-acre family-owned farms anymore. You have like 10,000-acre,
Yeah.
corporate owned. They have a contract with Purdue or whoever it is, and
Yeah.
that it just eliminates the little guy.
Yeah.
Logic is
Yeah.
an enemy and truth is a menace.
Yeah. In Canada, the real estate, to some people, if they listen to this, they would hear that they might think it's conspiratorial, but the World Economic Forum has been involved in world governments for a long time.
So if we penetrate the cabinets.
This is all public record, but anyway, one of the reasons why the real estate is so high in Canada, that's one of the reasons why. Look at what's happening. Almost uncontrolled immigration. And then they say people don't want to work. Like here, I actually had a local Ecuadorian tell me that I was allergic to work. She said I didn't want to work because this is what they're told in the media. They don't understand. A lot of people can't do a lot of the repetitive work because their health is not optimal. We don't have healthcare in Canada.
Sure,
And yeah.
and the pay is not worth it.
Well, it's
You
not.
know,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's the value of the money that's been destroyed. You can't buy anything with it anymore. Only not even food.
Yeah, like 50 years ago in the 70s, it used to cost on average 2 years of salary to buy a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what does it cost? Like 30 years of salary
Yes.
to buy a
Yes.
house?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people, so they're like, why am I doing this? Why am
Yeah.
I running on a wheel
Yeah.
like a hamster?
Yeah.
I can go to work and starve, or I can stay home and starve.
Yeah, back up a little bit. Your head is cut off if you want your head. That's okay, no problem. Yeah, and the quality of food here. I think the quality of food might be better here compared to Canada and United States. What do you think?
Oh, definitely.
Is it?
You know, a lot of well, here, what is it called? Pesticides,
Yeah,
chemicals. That's not allowed. You can't
it's not
spray.
allowed. It's not
You can't
allowed.
spray crops here.
No?
There is an exception, which is bananas. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So they have banana
Oh,
fields, banana farms
okay.
for Ecuadorians, for the Ecuadorian market, right?
Okay.
If you look at those farms, you'll see the bunches of bananas.
Yeah.
They're covered in like a plastic,
Okay.
right? So it's not like an airtight plastic, but it's a
Yeah.
plastic to keep the
Yeah.
bugs off. And
Yeah.
you'll see like all sorts of. If you drive past a banana farm for the local market, your windshield will be covered in bugs by the time you pass the
Wow.
farm. All right. Then we have banana farms for the export market for the United States.
Yeah.
Those markets, they have planes fly over and spray pesticide. Those bananas are not covered, and there are no insects around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There. Okay. That claim you made, is it 100% accurate that there's no
Yeah,
pesticides allowed?
yeah.
Okay.
I
I've heard that before, but I wasn't sure.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I lived for a little over a year in Los Rios province,
Okay.
which is Quevedo, Babahoyo, which is where most of the bananas are produced.
Okay.
I was working there at a balsa exporter, and I would drive past these places every day, and I could tell right away which ones are for the American market and which ones are
Yeah.
for the local market.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think there's a lot of pesticide usage in Canada and United States. There is too much monoculture. They don't mix the crops properly together when they're growing, and they become very susceptible to pests. That's monoculture when they only grow one specific food because
Yeah,
they
here
mass produce it.
they grow.
Yeah.
They don't really use much machinery here.
Okay.
Most farms here, they will pick the crops by hand.
Yeah.
So they will mix the crops together,
Yeah.
in one section for this, one section for that,
Okay.
because people are picking it by hand. When you use giant machinery, you can't do that.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, there's a large amounts of pesticide usage, and the food processing and the food quality is very expensive in Canada, and it's at big box stores. That's another thing we can touch on briefly. Is there's a lot of small. We already touched on it a little bit, but there's a lot of small business here. There are not very many big box stores like we have in Canada. We have our grocery stores are like big three. Companies like Loblaws, and then Food Basics, and then some a couple others, but those are the big. There are not many mom and pop stores.
Yeah, in the States, they're disappearing too. Like I
Yeah,
remember, I grew up in Queens, New York.
yeah,
I can still remember when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there were a lot of mom and pop stores around,
yeah,
and you knew the owner,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
knew who the owner of the shop was.
yeah.
But little by little, those mom and pop shops got replaced by like 7-Eleven, Stop and Shop.
Okay. Whoa, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're all corporations now,
yeah,
and the owner, who knows who the owner is?
yeah.
But
It's
and of course, there's Walmart.
yeah,
In the States, Walmart and the other big box stores,
yeah,
they sell their products for cheaper than the mom and pop shops. Here in Ecuador, it's the opposite. If you go to Mega Maxi or
it's more
Super
expensive.
Maxi, they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, I've noticed that it is expensive. Yeah, it is.
But this beats
You
the hell
you
out of
have
me.
like I call it three tiers of food shopping here in
Yeah,
Ecuador.
yeah,
Most expensive is, Mega Maxi and
yeah,
those guys. The second, you can go to like Tutti or Santa
Yeah,
Maria or Granada Key, places like that. That's like
yeah,
second tier. The cheapest is if you go to the outdoor markets, for
yeah,
example, Iñaquito or San Roque or Mayorista,
yeah,
right? Those
yeah,
places, it's outdoors. You gotta, carry the stuff back to the car or to the bus. But
yeah,
uh the outdoor markets like San Roque, it's about a third cheaper than like the Santa Maria. And
okay,
Santa Maria is like a third cheaper than Mega Maxi. Mega
mhm,
Maxi, yeah, it's convenient. You can find everything you need in there. And it's like pretty. They got all the bright lights and stuff and it's clean, but you're paying for that.
yeah,
That place it's on the expensive side.
yeah, yeah,
Like I go to San Roque on Sundays and to fill my fridge like with meat and vegetables and I buy spices, it'll cost me
yeah,
about $60.
yeah,
If I go to Mega Maxi, it would run me about like, between 150 and $200.
yeah. The food, and that's an interesting subject. But yeah, it's like I said, I'm here mainly because I couldn't find a place to live, nowhere to. It's hard to find a job. I never really had a career, but careers are not really what they were. There's no loyalty anymore. So I know people that hop companies for every 2 or 3 years. They don't stay at one employer. Um,
Yeah, sure. It used to be,
yeah,
in the generation before ours, that you could reasonably expect
yeah,
to get a job after high school or after
yeah,
college
yeah,
and stay at that company until you're ready to retire. Those
yeah,
days are over.
yeah. And a large factor there is because it's not only immigration, but that's one of them. But and I don't mean to sound like a xenophobe or something, but it's a big factor. And
Racist?
uh,
Racist? Racist?
you can see it's bad in the past 10 years. They're letting in all kinds of people, often unchecked, and they're taking up all the low skill. I'm not offending people when I say low skill,
No,
but
no, I'm not offended.
they're taking up all the entry level positions, all of the manual labor positions, type things like that, and it's very hard to have career progression. Uh, yeah, I've noticed that the same thing. People are complaining about the same thing here in Ecuador. They're complaining that the Venezuelans are coming in.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. Most of the manufacturing jobs, unfortunately, they got outsourced to China, a couple of decades ago. But
yeah,
the few that remain, yeah, they're being taken up by immigrants.
yeah,
The Americans are not willing to work
yeah,
for, $7 an hour. They're not. And here in Ecuador, it's the
yeah,
same thing. Ecuadorians are not willing to work for $300 a month, but the
yeah,
Venezuelans are.
These young
yeah,
people
So,
yeah,
don't
like
want to work.
a Venezuelan comes here, finds a job, makes 300 a month. For an Ecuadorian, that's not enough. But for him, he'll maybe spend $100 a month on renting a room and minimal food.
yeah,
Send $200 a month back to Venezuela, and the whole family lives well.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play a little video here, a little quick video here regarding immigration. Let's see here. Okay,
Okay.
share. Put it here. I'll put it here. Okay, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna take my headphones off so we can hear it.
What is controversial is your kids living in your basement because they can't get a job at Tim Hortons because the management or the company is using the TFWP as a business model to keep wages and prices low. Canada has not had a growing population
Yeah,
under its own power
yeah,
since the late 1950s.
yeah, yeah,
We nevertheless built a welfare state that was predicated on
yeah,
a population that would, for the most part, have more working aged people than retired people.
And
Okay?
let's have
That hasn't been the case for
yeah,
quite some time.
yeah,
And one of the solutions was to bring in working age people from
yeah,
abroad.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
seemed to make a lot of sense when
yeah,
numbers were,
yeah,
in the mid 20th century, when numbers were a little bit more manageable. There were labor shortages and plenty of space even in our big cities. Okay, that isn't the case anymore.
yeah,
Birth rates have fallen everywhere.
Yeah.
not just in Canada.
Yeah.
So we don't have we have an increasingly diminishing we have a diminishing population abroad of young well-educated persons to draw on to bring here. Okay, now that would ostensibly be the reason. Okay, that was ostensibly the reason to bring in people to work here, to contribute to the economy and so forth, but that isn't what happened. What happened is that instead of the high wage, high skilled immigration that actually raises wages and productivity and makes the economy boom and so forth, the Trudeau years favored the lower end of
Yep.
our
Yep.
wages,
Yeah.
the lower skill levels,
Yeah.
and the result was a huge expansion of the temporary foreign worker program. And we're talking, multiple millions. Okay, and especially in things like the service industry, or famously there's like the seasonal agricultural worker program. But like that's not really controversial. What is controversial is your kids living in your basement because they can't get a job at Tim Hortons because the management or the company is using the TFWP as a business model to keep wages and prices low. Okay, that is what happened from about 2015 onward. It was massively expanded, and the result was, yes, we avoided a recession, but because we're not that much better than that. It's sort of like a feeling of stagnancy and diminishing productivity and diminishing GDP per capita. GDP went up, yes, a little bit, but per capita it went down. But what is controversial is
that raises the point that we were talking about, how they're bringing in low skilled workers, and the work is being sent offshore. If you work in an office, they're automating it with AI, and they're sending the work. Maybe they've been sending IT work in a lot of office positions overseas for the past 15, 20 years.
Sure, like a lot of tech jobs, they're in India.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what the man in the video was talking about, about the Tim Hortons workers. In the States it was the same. You get a job, you want to look for a job at like a coffee shop. They want a master's degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go to a coffee shop in New York, you ask them, hey, what do you do? What is your profession? They won't say barista. They'll say, "Oh, I have a master's degree in film. I have a in something."
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what we're up against.
And go ahead.
Yeah, what he said about the wages per capita. 30 years ago, there were not as many billionaires as today.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard the analogy of a blue collar bar, like where the average blue collar bar with 50 people inside. The average wage is $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then, Bill Gates walks into the bar, and all of a sudden the average wage in the bar is like 2.5 million a year.
Yeah.
So we have this to deal with. There's a new class of people.
Yeah.
You used to be like low, middle, and upper class. Now you have this upper class, like the 1% of the 1%, which is not that fraction anymore. That class is growing, to the detriment of the rest of us.
Yeah. Corporatism. But then people blame capitalism. They don't know the difference. There's a huge difference between corporatism and capitalism.
Sure, I mean, capitalism is healthy. It gets people on their toes, but corporatism, I mean, a corporation is not a person. A corporation has no feelings. A corporation will do anything it can to make another dollar. That's the reason a corporation exists, and a lot of people don't understand that. It is not an emotional decision to outsource the payroll department to India. It's totally a financial decision. And who benefits from that? Of course, the shareholders, but the company. The company's whole purpose of life is to continue itself and to grow and to make more money. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this is yeah, I wanted to make I desired to make this video to elucidate the differences between Canada or the Western world and Ecuador, and anyone thinking about moving to Latin America. I would think it's a good idea, but it depends on your personal circumstances, because a lot of people get themselves into families, get themselves into mortgages, loans, and they can't get out of these
Sure.
things. I never got
Like,
involved in that stuff.
of course, it's easiest to, immigrate
Yeah,
when you're single with no
yeah,
kids and
yeah,
no obligations.
yeah,
But even married people, I've seen married people come here and they kind of excel more here. They
yeah,
flourish more here than they did in the States, because here in Ecuador, yeah, you earn less money, but the money you earn goes further,
yeah. Or
right?
if you earn money outside the country,
Oh,
that's the
sure.
ideal.
Sure, if you earn US dollars from the
Yeah,
States and
yeah,
you transfer it here,
yeah,
sure, you can be a remote digital nomad, or
yeah,
if you have your business somewhere else and you just live off the profits of that,
yeah,
sure, you can live very well here. Um, you know, Ecuador has a couple of pockets of expensive real estate, one
yeah,
being Quito and the other being Cuenca. But if you choose to live in one of the smaller cities like Ambato
yeah,
or Loja,
yeah,
you can live really well. They're
yeah.
they're safe cities, and the dollar goes a lot further.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I hope we can do this again sometime. And those watching, please spread this video if they want to know what life is like in another country compared to where you are. And it gives them people hope, because there's people living in vans in Canada. They're living in cars.
Here, no, you
Yeah.
you, you barely see any like homeless here. Barely. And the
Okay.
ones you do, they're drug addicts.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting experience, a conversation. And like I said, I'm from the Western world, Canada. He's been a few countries. I've been to a few countries as well, but
I've been around the world
yeah.
3 times.
Yeah, I was planning on living in Vietnam, but it's a big long story. I didn't have my health figured out. And Vietnam, I'm glad I didn't stay there because the pandemic hit.
All right. Well, Dave,
Yeah.
it was really
Th
great talking to you. We should
Thanks for
do
the
this
chat.
again soon.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to you later. See you. Bye bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
And all else fails, they take you to war.